This is Trade Pastor. Welcome to, well, this is Paul on this channel, actually. It's Paul. This is going up on my Paul Reviews and Opinions channel. And I know I mentioned on my other channel, Trade Pastor, that I was going to do a hangout, which occurred actually earlier today. But I was having technical issues, so I couldn't really do this part of it. So I did, I think, because technical difficulties. But I think I kind of figured out a way to do it, hopefully, so I can work better next time. But suffice to say, I couldn't participate on it fully. So what happened was, after they did their hangout, Geri and Sammy and I forgot the other guy. I'm sorry, I forgot his fellow YouTuber. They Comic Defender, I think. He what they did was, Sammy did a private hangout with me. We talked about Wonder Woman, and he brought up the subjects they talked about for 40 minutes. And he actually uploaded it on his channel, Falagar, which I'll leave a link to that in the description box. So if you want to check out that hangout. But what Geri's going to do, she's going to edit in my responses with Sammy to her main hangout video. Right now she has a hangout that she streamed, that she put on her channel for that hangout. And also she's going to edit in ours, which will probably be up either later today, because she's ahead of us time-wise, so she's probably sleeping right now, so she'll probably do it when she wake up. So it'll probably be up on her channel tomorrow. So I'll leave a link to Geri's channel as well, Geri G Reviews, in the description box. So if you want to check out that hangout that they actually did without me for Wonder Woman with spoilers, you can check that out. And then later tomorrow, she's probably going to include that video that Sammy has on his channel into her hangout. So it's good. I like that. And again, I think it's a technical difficulties, because I think because of the distance, maybe because she does it. And I think when you get too many people on a hangout, I don't know if it's, but anyway, I'm going to try to figure out a better way so I can, instead of using Wi-Fi, I can plug in directly. So maybe the next time we do it, it'll work better for me. Again, I apologize for that, because I know I promised it on my other channel that I was going to be on her channel, but my part is already up on Falagar's channel, and the part with me edited in will be on Geri G Reviews channel tomorrow. Right now she has the hangout that they did without me on her channel. Again, link will be in the description box. Links to Sammy in his channel, where you can see the interaction between me and him. Our hangout, our little mini hangout, which is like 40 minutes, is on his channel, and link will be in the description box, so you can check that out as well. But this is going to be my own spoilers review of Wonder Woman, which I absolutely love. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I love the movie again, so this is going to be spoiled. I'm going to talk about everything, but I'm not trying to drag it out. Okay, anyway, again, like I said it before, my main review on my main channel, I loved Gal Gadot. I thought she was excellent as Wonder Woman. I think she did a fantastic job. I know a lot of people had their doubts, and I had my doubts initially when she was chosen, but she really impressed me in Batman v Superman. And in this movie, which is more of her movie, she really carried the scenes well, the good emotional scenes. There were a lot of great scenes that she handled extremely well. I loved her chemistry with Chris Pine and Steve Trevor. I thought they had great chemistry together. And I loved her emotional scenes. I loved her action scenes. I thought she was great. She handled the action scenes. She was total kick-ass. Patty Jenkins did a great job with the direction. Okay, now first thing I want to talk about is on the island and stuff, and they're going through the training. And first of all, they kind of mixed up to her origin, I guess, in a way. I guess they kind of combined two origins. I guess Diana was told that she was made out of clay, and Zeus brought her to life, and that's what she knows. But actually, that's not the real truth of her origin. And later in the movie, you find out that actually Zeus actually created her with Hippolyta, and that's how she's basically a demigod, I guess. She's a demigod, okay? And because when she has her big showdown with Ares, who's in this movie, and he's the main villain of this movie. That's no secret, since this is spoilers. And I'll explain to Ares a little bit when I get to that later. But anyway, she's a demigod, and in this movie, you get to actually see her use her full godlike powers. And I don't care what nobody else says, she flies in this movie. Okay, maybe not fly like Superman, but she flies in this movie. There's several instances where she flies. Okay, at the end, where she's from the Louvre, she just takes off, and you see her, that shot, you see her with her shield like that. She's flying. I don't care what nobody says. And then several times when she's fighting Ares, she lifts off of the ground. She's flying. She's flying, floating, whatever you want to call it. She's flying. She's not leaping. Okay, she's flying. Okay, anyway, but anyway, on the Paradise Island, first, of course, her mother doesn't want her to be involved. They tell the story about how the Amazons came to be, and how the gods created man, and then how Ares was jealous and he wanted to corrupt man into fighting each other, and then how Ares fought and killed the other gods, and then how Zeus finally struck him down, and how he left him with a weapon to kill him in case he ever came back. The God Killer sword uh, they had and they showed her the various artifacts, the shield and the golden lasso of truth and all that other stuff. And of course, her mother didn't want her to fight and be a warrior, but Diana wanted to be a warrior. She really wanted that badly, and her aunt, played by Robin Wright, really secretly trained her until finally her mother said, "Go ahead, train her, and train her to be the fiercest of us all." And she really trained her to that part. And then that part you see in the trailer where where she's not attacking, she's fighting her and telling her, trying to teach her a lesson about never giving up, that you expect the fight to be fair, and it'll be fair. And then you see Wonder Woman pull up her base to brace herself, and she actually forces her aunt back with that. And that, of course, is part of her God power, which she's stunned by that she didn't even know she had that power. And of course, her aunt and her mother know that she's part God. She's a demigod. But again, like I said, her mother doesn't really want to tell her, because her mother her reasoning is that if she tells her of what she is, what she truly is, then Ares will find her, because their whole thing is that the Amazons were created to fight Ares in case he ever came back. To help fight Ares in case he ever came back and defeat him, because Ares wants to corrupt man. He wants to destroy man because he thinks Zeus created man, and man is just corruptible and stuff. So anyway, that's when Steve Trevor and them, they crash on the island, and that's when she saves she saves them. And then they have the great fight scene on the beach where her aunt, unfortunately Robin Wright's character, dies, which is really kind of a bummer, because I thought she's just a great character. But kind of knew her time was limited anyway, because once Wonder Woman leaves the island, you don't see the Amazons again in the movie. So I guess it's her death was kind of predictable, I guess, in a way. But I liked Robin Wright's character. I think she was just fierce, and just a fierce warrior. But again, we were talking about this in a hangout before. A lot of people think the Amazons were immortal, but I thought the Amazons were just created. They were created by Zeus, so they were already the age that they were. Okay, and sure, they probably don't age like the normal humans age, probably, which is why Wonder Woman, see Wonder Woman, well, Wonder Woman was a demigod, so she ages differently even altogether. But I think the Amazons age slower, but they could still die. Okay, that was my takeaway from it, because some of the Amazons, of course, they died on the beach because the Germans that came after Steve Trevor, they had guns and they were shooting them, even though they slaughtered them, but a few of them got off shots and killed a couple of the Amazons. Okay, and then of course, Wonder Woman, they tell Steve Trevor, well, they actually compel him by putting the magic lasso around him to tell the truth of why he's there, and he tells them about the mission, about the World War I, and how this is the war to end all wars, like you see in the trailers and stuff. And he basically says he has to go back, and they were deciding whether to send him back. And then of course she wants to help him, because she said, listen, this is what we were designed for, to stop Ares. Obviously it's Ares out there corrupting man and having them fight each other, and the world is being destroyed. Millions are being destroyed, and millions will be destroyed. And she wants to go out there, but her mother still forbids her to do it. But because again, her mother is fearful that Ares will notice her, and of course, Ares will kill her. So she, her mother has that fear, but Diana doesn't care. She's singly focused, and she wants to go to man and help man and stop man from dying. She's truly heroic, and she has that purpose that she wants to do. And you see that scene you see in the trailer where she leaps to the tower where they have the sword, the God Killer sword, and the magic lasso and the shield, and she she makes that leap, and then that's when you see that cool sequence where she actually climbs and you actually see her strength. She actually climbs up, and she climbs in there and takes all the items, and she's getting ready to leave with Steve Trevor, and then her mother tells her, that speaks that they don't deserve her and stuff, and that she can never come back. Of course, and Diana says, what kind of person I would be if I didn't help, which shows you the true mark of a hero. And then of course she leaves, and then they come to to London, of course, at first. And this is where, again, I love Gal Gadot and Chris Pine's chemistry, where they're back in London, and Gal Gadot is like a fish out of water and stuff, and he has to put normal clothes on her and stuff, and she puts on the glasses and all that other stuff, and they have good comedy bits between her and Etta Candy, the secretary, and Steve Trevor and stuff. And then there's a lot of great moments where back then, of course, women's we're not supposed to be in the men's room, and the men are discussing thing. And there's a great scene where he's going to give them the book that he rescued from the Nazis about, because they explain early in the movie, while the Germans were chasing him to Paradise Island, he stole, because he was an undercover spy, he stole the book for Dr. Poison, with her chemicals and all that stuff, her gases and stuff, and her formulas and stuff, and he was going to present that as evidence to them. Say, listen, this is what they're planning. Okay, we got to stop them, because right now they're planning an armistice, to stop all the fighting and declare peace. But the Germans, specifically, what's his name? I can't. Dr. Poison, and I forgot the other guy's name. I can't remember the other villain, the German general, which I can't remember the actor who played him right now at the moment. But he was. They were planning on. They didn't want to give up. They wanted to take over the world. They figured with that new gas Dr. Poison was going to develop, they could take over the world. Okay, and they didn't want to. Even the German hand command wanted to kind of give up because people were dying on both sides and stuff. But they didn't care. They were going to go full throttle with this. But anyways, there's a great scene where Diana. Where Steve Trevor tells her to stay outside, and he goes to the council and tells them, listen, the war room, and tells them, listen, I got the book, I'm still alive, here's the thing. And then Wonder Woman, what I love about Gal Gadot is that he tells her to stay outside, but then she comes in the room, like this, the door is like two ways. He goes in one way, and then he tells her to stay outside, so she like turns around and comes in the other way, and which is really cool. And she's hearing them talking, and then the men, they're arguing with each other. And then finally they notice that she's in there. They said, "What, a woman? A woman? What's she doing in here?" And then the generals are talking about surrender and all that stuff and armistice, and she's basically saying, "Why would you give up? That's cowardice. Millions of people are going to die. Why would you give up?" And she basically kind of shames them into and tell the general. And where I come from, generals fight with their men, which I love that moment when Gal Gadot does that. There's a lot of great moments like that in this movie, which makes me love it. Okay, and then again, that's when you meet David Thewlis's character, who plays a British diplomat who's supposed to be negotiating the armistice. And of course, later we find out that he's really Ares. Okay, but anyway, they come up with this great plan to sneak into enemy lines. Steve Trevor gathers up 3 of his cohorts that you see in that picture that you see in Batman v Superman, so they can sneak in to occupy land and get and try to blow up the chemical plant before Dr. Poison can unleash her poison and stuff. And of course, that leads to the great first battle sequence, because there's great scenes where Diana is experiencing new things when she, like I said, fish out of water, and she comes and she sees how depressing and stuff things are in London. She sees people on the street, sees soldiers coming back from the war all wounded and stuff, and like I said, she's never been anywhere, and she really sees the horror of war. And I think Gail Gadot conveyed that a lot. And then of course there's lighter moments when she gets ice cream for the first time, and she has this, and she tastes that. What that reminded me of? That there's a scene. It came to me just now when she has ice cream for the first time, and she licks it, and then she tells the guy who they bought the ice cream from, "You must be really proud of this." No, not you must really be proud of it, or you should have pride, a great pride in this, right? Because you can just see the pure joy in her face, and that reminds me of Starman, when he I think he had Dutch apple pie for the first time. And if you remember that movie, Jeff Bridges, Starman has the apple pie for the first time, and the look on his face is like just a pure joy, and that just reminded me of that when I saw Gail Gadot do that in this movie with the ice cream. That was just hilarious and funny and endearing at the same time. And of course, the Germans are following Steve Trevor, and then you have the great alleyway sequence which they borrowed, of course, liberally from the first Superman movie when Clark Kent and Lois Lane got mugged in the alley. But this one I think is even better, because you see her deflecting bullets and just kicking ass and beating the crap out of people, and then Steve Trevor gets a punch in and everything, and it's just absolutely fantastic. And then again, the first great action sequence to me is when they go on the front, on their way to trying to destroy the chemical plant, and they go into the trenches, and then Diana, she sees all the people struggling, and I think even a woman pulls her to the side and says, "Help me, we're starving, we haven't," and they basically, she's telling Steve Trevor, "We got to help them," and he's saying, "Listen, we had our mission, we got to go try to destroy this chemical plant. We can't, we don't have time. She said, "This is the front. this is like no man's land. He's basically telling her, listen, nobody, either side, Germans on our side, nobody can get past a few inches. It's because it's basically no man's land. It's, if anybody tries to, you can't take, nobody has an advantage, basically, is what he's saying. That it's no man's land, so you can't really destroy the Germans. It's not because, they have equal number of men and we have an equal number of men shooting at each other, so there's no real, it's kind of like a stalemate. It's been a stalemate for like months. So there's no, that's why they call it no man's land. And that's when you see the scene, you see in the trailer where she climbs up the trench. She said, I'm going to help because this is our sacred duty, and that's what I'm going to do. And then that's when she climbs up the thing. And of course, because Steve is temporarily distracted by something else, and so he doesn't see her initially go up. And then, she starts doing her thing like you see in the trailer, deflecting bullets, dodging bullets, and then that's when they notice that she's up there, and then they go up there, and she's basically drawing all the German fire on her. And then that's when they come up, the rest of the soldiers, and they start shooting, and they actually take over the village. They actually win the village. That's where you have that great action sequence where they actually take the village with Diana's help, obviously. And it's a great action sequence with her just totally kicking ass in it, and Steve Trevor and them and the rest of the soldiers kicking ass, and they actually liberate the village, the town. And of course, that was one of the great action sequences ever. I just love that scene. That was just a great action sequence. Her with her full powers and just kicking ass. And of course, the people are grateful to her. And that's, I think, when they take the picture that you see in Batman v Superman with her, Steve Trevor, and the other three sidekicks. And of course, that's when you have that first kind of romantic moment between them, where she notices it's snowing, and she's kind of happy, and this is before they get ready to go on to the next, to the chemical base, and he teaches her how to dance, and then you can see that they're getting close and they're attracted to each other, and then that's when you have the night where he takes her up to the room, and and because Steve Trevor is an honorable person, he's going to leave her in the room, but she kind of gives him a look, because you see he get ready to leave, but she gives him a look, and so then he closes the door and stays, and then it's implied that they spent the night together, which is believable to me, because she doesn't have that hang up that most women at that time would have about. But I think in war situations that may skew a little bit, but in normal situations back then, women wouldn't sleep with men outside of marriage. But it kind of fit in the movie because, like I said, Diana has never experienced anything like this before, so she's basically experiencing all these things for new. So that's why it made sense, and I like that they were tasteful with it, and they kind of faded to black, and then you just saw the next day. So I thought that was tastefully done. Anyway, now, as far as the villains, Dr. Poison and the general, played by, I can't remember his name. I can't remember the German general's name. I can't remember his name now. I'll probably put it over the video, because I can't remember the actor's name. He always plays bad guys anyway, for the most part. But anyway, those two villains, they were okay. They were not great. They weren't that fleshed out as much as I guess that you would like. They had their little evil moments and stuff in there. There was a great sequence where basically where Dr. Poison comes up, because she's at a stalemate at first. Once, Steve Trevor steals her book, she's at a stalemate to try to come up with something new, and then she kind of figures something out. And then, they hear that, of course, the Germans are going to give up. They're going to sign the armistice, to call off all the fighting. And he actually goes to the high command, and he basically had Dr. Poison throw in the new chemicals she developed, and he closed the door, and he actually throws in a gas mask. And then she has a great scene where she says, well, why did you do that? That's not going to work. He said, yeah, but they don't know that, which I thought was cool. So you see them fighting for the gas mask, and of course they all die and stuff. But anyway, Wonder Woman, on their mission the next day after their night together is to, get to the chemical plant and destroy it. But there's this ball that's happening. And of course, Steve kind of tells her, listen, Diane, I have to go in. She wants to kill because she thinks the general is actually Ares. And he's, the general that's working with Dr. Poison. She thinks he's Ares, which of course he's not. We know, of course, later we find out that it's not him. But she thinks it's him. And kind of Steve kind of tells her, listen, Diane, you got to hold back. You got to let me get close and get into the, infiltrate this thing, and I can destroy the chemical plant. But she, she says, you can't tell, basically she tells him, you can't tell me what to do. So she basically comes in with a dress, and that's when you see the scene you see in the trailer with her in the blue dress, and she has a sword there, and she has a moment with him, and she's going to kill that general. She's dancing with him, and she's going to kill him, but Steve kind of stops her, and then they actually launch the strike into that village that they just liberated, and the people actually die, and Diana, she's beyond, distraught and mad at Steve because he held her back, because she thinks, listen, you let me kill Ares, this other, none of this would have happened. Those people that we liberated would never have died. So that's the real first kind of argument, conflict thing they have together. But then later, they have to go to try to stop, because they're getting ready to spread all the bombs that they make now that they know that the gas is successful. They're getting ready to bomb London and everywhere else and get ready to take off on a plane. So they have to actually go back. And so Diana, she's on her way to kill the general she thinks is Ares, of course. And Steve and him and his three companions, they're on their way to try to stop the plane. Okay, and that's when you have that, the action scene at the end, and you have the scene that you see in the trailer where she confronts the general, and and of course there's a scene early in the movie where Dr. Poison kind of gives him this sort of like a capsule pill that he inhales, and it gives him enhanced strength, which I think was kind of corny, but I think they did that just so when she confronts him, he can last a little bit longer in the fight, because if he's a normal human being, she could just kill him in 2 seconds. But I think that was the whole purpose of giving her, Dr. Poison, giving him those capsules, so that he can enhance his strength. So when she confronts him, he can last a little bit longer than normal. That's the only reason I think that was done. But anyway, she confronts him, and she whips him left and right, and then of course she winds up killing him with the God's killer sword. And of course Steve, and then she notices that still at the airport where she's at and where he's at, people are still fighting. The war hasn't stopped. So she's kind of stunned and bewildered. Why? Because she thinks she's killed Ares while the war hasn't stopped. Because that's what they've been told. Once they kill Ares, man will revert back to nature. They're back to human, and they won't be fighting each other. Everything will be peace and love. But Steve kind of explains to her, listen, Diana, Ares or no Ares. And I think this is part where he believed in her, but he didn't always believe all the stuff, even though he's seen some extraordinary stuff. But I don't think he never really bought that Ares part of it. Okay, that her saying that them and the God and her people telling them that Ares was influencing man and stuff. I think he never really bought it. And he kind of explains to her, listen, Diana, people have their own motivation. Some people are evil, some people are kind. It doesn't matter, Ares or no Ares. He said people, he's basically trying to, break it to her, listen, people have their own motivations, to do things. And he's trying to basically give her another lesson, which I thought was nice, really another intelligent point in the movie. And of course, so he goes on and tells her, listen, I gotta go try to stop this plane. And then of course that's when Ares, or David Thewlis, his character, confronts her. Oh, okay, and then she figures out, yes, you're Ares. And then he breaks down, basically telling her that that he is Ares. And it's great. I like the way they shoot this, because they're in this like tower thing, and Diana's on the outside and he's on the inside. And while he's doing his villain monologuing, explaining her how he influenced men over the years, and how Zeus created man, and how he didn't like man. Man was easily corruptible and stuff, and he hated man and all this stuff. And Diana's circling him, and he's telling the story. And then she kind of circles around to come in where she comes in. Then you see him on the outside. I thought the way they shot it was like really well done. He just like magically he's on the other side where she's talking to him. And then of course that's when he basically telling her to join him. He said, listen, man is corruptible. Okay, man is evil and can easily corruptible, and they should be wiped off the face of the earth. And he's basically telling her, join me. And she tries to use the God's killer sword on him, and it doesn't work. It just basically it just disintegrates when she stabs him with it. And he tells her, listen, that sword is no God killer sword. You're the God killer. And he basically tells her that you're the God that Zeus created. He basically tells her, he said, you shouldn't give up on man. Man is full of hate and all that stuff, and you should give up on man and stuff. And then they have their little battles left and right. And then I think, I'm sorry, before that, when Steve was saying his goodbye to Diana, like she couldn't hear at first. She couldn't hear him because there was the big explosion when she was fighting Ares, and he was basically saying his goodbye to her, and you couldn't, and they didn't purposely let you didn't hear what he was saying to her. And then he ran off to stop the plane, get on the plane that was taking off with all the the gas and poisonous gas and stuff. And then later, after they battle, Ares and Diana battle, and then she kind of remembers he's telling her, and she flips out when she, she, I think she realized. That's why I have to see the movie again, because I think she remembers, she can hear, because she's a little dazed after the fight with Ares, and then she can remember what he's saying to her. At least they're showing the audience what she said, but I think they played it back so she knew, and so she knew when she sees the plane taking off, because he was explaining to her, but that he has to make the sacrifice that she can that he can do this, he can save today, but she can save tomorrow. That's why he has to be the one to get on the plane, and he gives her his father's watch, which is very important to her. That's one of the first things that she asked about when she first met him. That the father's watch was everything to him, and he gives that to her before he leaves, and he tells her that he loves her. And then she flips out when you see the plane explode. And Steve Trevor, he makes the ultimate sacrifice. He jumps on the plane, he kills everybody on it, and then he takes it up in the sky, and then he basically shoots it and it explodes, so that way that the gas will never reach London or anything where else, and he basically makes the ultimate sacrifice, and that's when she absolutely flips out and loses it and that's what you see in the scene in the trailers. And I think the last trailer we see her on the tarmac when she's just tossing guys left and right, and then of course Ares is trying to manipulate her, still telling her that man is not worth it. Help me destroy man. Man is not worth it. And then he actually pulls Dr. Poison towards him. Said, "Look at her." And Dr. Poison has that little mask on, her scarred face, and he kind of it crumbles off her face. And Diana has the tank, and she's in full rage mode and Hulk mode, and she's has it above her head like she's gonna smash Dr. Poison with it. And then that's when she remembers Steve and all the lessons and stuff that he taught her and stuff. And then she says, "No, I'm not gonna give into that. I'm not gonna give into hate. I'm gonna embrace love. Man is love." And then that's when she actually fully embraces her powers, when she has that full battle with Ares, and he gets his full armor, and he shoots all that energy at her, and she basically absorbs it all and shoots it back at him and kills him, or dispatches him temporarily, as gods always come back. But I thought that was a great sequence there at the airport. I know a lot of people think it's too CGI, it was too much CGI, but for a sequence like that, you kind of have to do CGI. You can't kind of all the things that are being displayed, the god-like powers and stuff and all that stuff, you kind of have to CGI it a bit. So I didn't mind that as much. Okay, now, of course, once Diana kills Ares, everything is calm and peaceful, and then you see the Germans and the Americans hugging each other, which kind of was a little wacky, but immediately everything goes back, and then you see the sun come up, and then you see a scene at the end where the war is over, and then you see Diane and the three companions, Steve's former friends, they go up to this celebration, and you see a picture of Steve right there, and you see the look on her face like, that was a girl that I just conveyed so much in that look. And then you see her walk off, and then they flash back to modern times. Okay, I forgot to say, in the beginning of the movie, when she's walking on into the Louvre, and she gets a delivery from Bruce Wayne with the picture, restored picture, saying that he found it. Okay, and one day maybe you'll tell me about it. Okay, and that's when she flashes back to World, to her adventures, first meeting Steve and stuff, and all that. But anyway, and then it flashes back to modern times and stuff, at the end, and you see her pull out the watch from Steve and stuff, and her reflect on that, and then you see her go up, and then you see the scene that you see at the end that's in the poster sometimes. You see her in her full Wonder Woman costume, and she just flies. She flies. I don't care nobody says she flies. She ain't leaping. You see her flying like that, and that's how the movie ends, with her like that. And I know there's no closing credit scenes. There should be a close. I know DC don't want to do everything like Marvel, but they should have. I wanted a little teaser to Justice League. Okay, and maybe in the future they will do that, especially maybe with the Justice League movie, they'll put a after credit sequence. I think they should. I know people say, "Oh, you shouldn't be exactly like Marvel," but put that after credit sequence in there. I think people later. I knew there wasn't one, so I got up and leave after once the credits started rolling up. But a lot of people stayed because I think people were still expecting it. Maybe they didn't hear about it, that there was no after credit sequence. So a lot of people stayed in the seats at the theater I went to. Okay, but again, this was a great movie. Patty Jenkins did a great job. I cannot wait. I hope they definitely do a sequel to this movie. That definitely can hold her own movie. I think she was absolutely fantastic, and I would love to see another Wonder Woman movie, because this movie was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. Okay, I absolutely loved it, and I gave it a 9 out of 10. One of the best movies I've seen this year. I'm gonna go see it again next week when I go see The Mummy. Okay, just because I just loved it, and I really DCU. This is the best. I ranked them. I re-ranked the films. When the hangout I did with Sammy, I did this movie first. Uh, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, and Suicide Squad. That's as far as I'm concerned. Wonder Woman is the best DCE movie so far. So that's just my opinion. I absolutely loved it. I loved all the lessons. I thought the script was really intelligent, really well thought of. And again, special mention to a special thank you to Zack Snyder because he cast Gal Gadot. He was the one that cast her and believed in her, and she more than enough held her own in her Batman v Superman and in this movie, her solo movie. I think she totally kicked it out of the park. So thank you, Zach. And then also he was partly responsible for part of the story in this movie, which I thought was a great story. I thought the script was very well done. Okay, the only weak parts to me was, like I said, the villain, the general, and the Dr. Poison. I don't think they spent enough time with them, so you can kind of get their motivation just that they're just evil. I mean, they wanted to take over the world, obviously, but why they wanted to take over the world? Like there was no backstory about how Dr. Poison got her scar, and stuff, like a story about that. I know for time, the movie's 2 hours and 21 minutes, so they couldn't spend every minute with everybody. So some things had to get shortchanged. So that was my only kind of gripe with that. And I know a lot of people complain about the CGI at the end, but that didn't bother me at all because I kind of understand because of the nature of the battle at the end. Kind of had to be a CGI kind of fest. Okay, but anyway, 9 out of 10 for me. I loved it. I can highly recommend it again. And again, thank you for watching this video. And like I said, I'm gonna leave a link to Falagar's channel in the description box. Falagar, we did a hangout because I couldn't get on the normal hangout with them because of technical difficulties. But we did like a 40-minute hangout. He put it up on his channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description box. And Geri, I'll leave a link to her channel because she did this hangout that they were able to do. That's on her channel, Geri G Reviews. I'll link to her channel, and the hangout with them splicing me in, that should be up probably tomorrow on her channel. So check that out as well. And I'm going to upload this video tonight. And again, this is spoilers, spoilers all the way through. And I hope you enjoy this. And go Wonder Woman. Again, I think this is the best DC movie yet. So please check it out. And I can't wait for Justice League. And Gal Gadot, you totally rock and kick ass. And this is Paul saying so long and take care.